I'm with David Mentz, a spokesperson for Prime Minister Netanyahu. David, thank you for speaking with WION. Now, Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that Israel is one step away from victory. What does that mean?
Well, thank you for having me, Jody. What it means is that after the terrible tragedy of the October 7th massacre, when Hamas burst through our borders and massacred our people, it means that we have taken out 19 of the 24 battalions, and we know of Hamas, and we know there are 4 more battalions of Hamas in Rafah. And what the Prime Minister is saying is that this battle will be won when we have taken out the last vestiges of Hamas in Rafah.
But with the withdrawal of most of the troops, does that mean there won't be a ground operation in Rafah? They will be doing targeted raids instead?
Well, I can't talk to our military strategy. You should put those questions to the IDF. But what I can tell you is that there is absolute determination in this country, wall to wall, from all sections of society. We are determined to get rid of Hamas, to make sure that Hamas can never be a threat to us again, and of course to release our hostages.
So there have been reports of cautious optimism that a deal could be reached to free some of those hostages and for a 6-week ceasefire. Are you optimistic that that might happen?
You know, Jody, we're dealing with a genocidal terrorist organization that has stolen our people, babies, 19 women, 133 people. Just on Saturday night, we managed to redeem a body of one of the hostages. We know we're dealing with a terrible terrorist organization, and people's lives literally hang in the balance. So I can't tell you exactly where our negotiations are, but what I can tell you is that the Prime Minister is determined to make a hostage deal happen, because we need to get our people back right now. It's a huge human rights violation. It's a terrible thing that they've done. It's absolutely inhumane, and we need our people back right now.
There's obviously concern every day that passes for these hostages. Israel has insisted that there's no limit to the amount of aid entering Gaza, but that Hamas is stealing much of the aid, and the problems have been with distribution. So what's being done to improve that and also to protect aid workers?
You know, before this war, there were 70 food trucks a day, food trucks alone going in. At the last count, I think 2 days ago, there were about 250 aid trucks, and now we've beaten the 300 mark. So we are trying to get as much aid as we possibly can in there. But you're absolutely right. Hamas are stealing the aid. They're selling it onto the black market with massively increased prices. You know, there's one thing you can be sure of, that no one in Hamas is hungry. It's in their interest to make their people starve. They have got a long record of doing terrible things to the Gazans themselves. So Israel are trying to get Hamas out of the equation. If there is hunger in Gaza, it's caused by Hamas. It's hunger, orchestrated Hamas. We're going to get the aid to the people that need it, and we're going to ensure that all of our military activity has as little harm against innocent civilians as is humanly possible.
So how are you going to change things? Because obviously efforts have been made so far, but to change things in terms of further protection for aid workers, and also what more is going to be done to stop Hamas stealing the aid?
So the dilemma we faced is that the existing aid agencies, like UNRWA, have unfortunately been fronts for Hamas. We've had UNRWA staff actually participate in the October 7th massacre. We know that the UNRWA headquarters was built on top of a Hamas server farm. So UNRWA are unfortunately part of the problem, not part of the solution. So we are looking for other partners. Unfortunately, WCK was a partner which we were using, but we're looking for others as well. And we're using private sector contractors. Look, when you go into southern Gaza now, you will see bustling markets, you will see plentiful food, you will see no shortage of food. The issue is northern Gaza right now, but we're breaking through the Hamas imposed problems. We're making sure that the aid goes through that, whether through air, land and sea. We're getting the aid to the people that need it, because they deserve it. And we have no beef, we have no problem with ordinary Palestinians wherever they live in Gaza. It's Hamas we're after, and it's Hamas we're going to finish off.
So the IDF have withdrawn most of their ground troops from southern Gaza. We've also heard of threats coming from Iran, and Israel is on high alert. Do you see a war coming between Israel and Iran, or between Israel and Iranian proxy Hezbollah?
You know, Jody, we've got more than 61,000 people displaced in our north, another 60,000 people displaced in our south as well. The government has a responsibility to get those people home, to be able to live in safety. We know that Iran is behind all of these attacks. They are afraid of peace in the region. They're afraid of us making peace with Saudi Arabia, as we have already with the United Arab Emirates. We know that Iran are behind all the problems in this region, but that won't stop us. So yes, of course, we will take a diplomatic solution. Resolution 1501 is the resolution which calls for for the Hezbollah to push back behind the Litani River. But if they don't do it diplomatically, we will have no choice than to push them back militarily.
What's your view on the use of artificial intelligence tools like Lavender or Where's Daddy, which are allegedly being used by Israel?
So I've checked this with the IDF this morning, and they've said to me, and they've released this publicly as well, that the IDF does not use AI to target in any of their targeting systems. It simply isn't the case. This, unfortunately, is another case of fake news, people being careless with the truth and putting out things which aren't necessarily true. What we do know is that we have targeted terrorists in the most targeted way so that we've minimized civilian casualties. You know, General Petraeus in the US and Colonel John Spencer, who's the head of urban warfare at West Point, have all said that the number of the ratio of civilian to terrorist ratio is lowest that he's ever seen anywhere in conflict. The UN average is 1 to 9, 1 terrorist to 9 civilians. We are as low as 1 to 1. I think when the dust settles from this war, it will be seen that we have done more than any other country in the history of warfare, and we're fighting a dangerous enemy here, an enemy that doesn't wear uniforms, that hides amongst civilians, that builds its bases inside hospitals themselves. We're doing more than anyone has ever done to protect civilians, and we're winning as well.
Are you saying that artificial intelligence tools aren't being used? Because according to reports I've heard from the IDF, they've said that AI is used, but then it's checked by human intelligence afterwards. Can you just clarify that point?
I'd be happy to clarify that point. I can tell you categorically that the IDF does not use AI in creating its targets. It does not use AI in creating its targets. AI, of course, is used in many different ways, in many different businesses, in defense, in every different function. But in terms of targeting, selecting targets, it's not AI which is used.
David Menser, thank you for your time and your insights speaking with WION today.
Good to be with you. Thank you very much, Shirley.
Thank you.